Hey there! Ready to revolutionize your data visualizations? Introducing Cloud's Vega Widget, a game changer. Built on Vega Grammar, it seamlessly combines data from multiple sources. Watch these quick examples. Mixed values label, daily comparison chart, map analytics, temperature trend, heat map analytics, and pie with text, all linking multiple data sources dynamically. Now, let's dive into a short tutorial by our engineer to see just how easy it is to harness this power for your dashboards.
Okay, so let's try to configure our Vega widget. So let's go hit time series Vega chart. So by default it's just nothing, but it's pretty easy to use existing examples of Vega charts and configure some visualization. So first let's go and decide what we will show. In this demo we will show the temperature from our devices. So first of all we need to add the dataset. Let's call IP data, and let's go and specify last time series. So this will return all the endpoints in our application with the last time series values. So I will select our PMS time application and specify the time series. So I will have the column, let's call it temperature, and map it to the value. So we have value temperature, time series name, and time series value. So now we need to make some chart. So we can go to the Vega docs, and for example, let's go and hit this bar chart. So we can visualize our temperature for each endpoint as a bar. So what I will do, I will just go and copy paste this one and paste it here. So we have our chart here. It's just rendered as it is in this example. So now what we can do with our data, let's try to connect it to our IP data dataset. So we can do it in this way. So we can go to appearance and enable show actions, and now we can see this icon here. So now if we click on it, we can go to the open Vega editor, and here we can see our data populated in the dataset called IP data. It's the same name as we specified here. So now what we can do, we can just go and edit some data here. So the basic example goes from this table, right? So we can just remove it and replace values with our dataset. So we have our data called IP data. So I will just go and replace all these occurrences with IP data. And now instead of field category, so we have our endpoint ID. Now we can see in the data view our dataset here. So for X scale we will use endpoint ID, for Y scale we will use the temperature. So I will just copy paste it here. And now let's go and update the marks. So here again, for category we will use endpoint ID, and for Y scale we will use temperature. Okay, so now let's go and also update the tooltip here. So we will again update endpoint ID and temperature here and temperature here. Okay, so now we can see that some values shows here. So let's go and try and move this data back to our chart. So what I will do, I will just copy paste all of this and put it here. So we have this error which says that we have duplicated dataset. So what we need just to remove this data. And now we can go and remove this and height, and we have our chart. And if you can see, when we are covering it, it shows the text here. So if we will go hit and save, we have our bar chart, which is automatically resizable and responsive. So now let's say I don't really like to show this endpoint ID and I want to show the name of the endpoint. So what we can do here, again, we have our endpoint data in another dataset. So let's go and add new one and call it endpoints. And specify dataset endpoints. So here I will go and specify the application name, the same application that I had before. And now let me go and open Vega Editor again. So we don't see anything. This is because we don't have recent height. So let's just specify it here. Okay, now we have the same chart, and in our data viewer we can see our endpoints data. So we can see the data also here. So as previously we have our EP data and have endpoints. So now I want to show the endpoint name, like this field, instead of ID. So with the help of Vega we can actually create another dataset. So let's call it result. And let's take as a source our EP data dataset. Okay, so if we will go here, in result we can see the same dataset as EP data. But now I want to join the dataset by endpoint ID, like here and here, and pick up the appropriate name. So we can do this with help of Vega transform function that called and here we need to specify few fields. So first field is from. So we need to take the data from endpoints. Then we will take our key endpoint ID. And for fields, we need to specify the fields from the endpoints dataset, which is basically the ID, like this field. And let's give it some name. So we want just to take the name. So if we will go to our result, so we can see the name here, right? But it shows some not really parsable data. So what we can do here, we can go and specify the values that we want just name. Okay, I messed it up with fields, so it should be otherwise. It's okay. Yeah, so I changed the fields, and now we can see the name of the room for each endpoint. Okay, so now we want to display it here. So what we can do, we can go and again update our scales and marks. So let's go and do it. So the first thing, we will replace EP data with result, and we will take the name here, same here. The temperature value is the same. So now we can see on our scales the names. So let's go and replace it here, replace with name. Now we can see pretty labels here. And let's go and change here as well. So instead of endpoint ID, we will show the name. And yeah, it should be it. So now we have the bar chart that shows the same values, but now it shows it in a user-friendly way. So in this way we can join any amounts of datasets, we can do aggregations, lookups, and other things. So now let's go and copy paste it back here. So what we need to remove a few data here. So the first one, this one, and this one. Let's also remove recent height. And let's hide our actions. Yeah, so now we have our bar chart that shows the data for our endpoints, temperature, and with user-friendly values.
Unleash the power of your data with Cloud's Vega Widget. Thumbs up, subscribe, and start visualizing your combined data sources like never before. Happy exploring!